All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. We are the Career Design Center, and we are here to do our alumni career series. As we get started with today's career series, I'm going to turn the time over to Henry Silva to introduce our guests for today.
We have M. Corey, and she just graduated from Utah State. We also have Mandy Lawson. She got her board certification in 2022. We have these two wonderful women to share their experience with us, and they have a lot to share with us today. So I will pass the time for M to talk about a little bit about her.
Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for that introduction, Henry. I'm going to share a quick slideshow just to introduce myself a little bit. So yes, I'm M, and I actually just graduated from the music therapy program like 5 months ago. I just had such a wonderful time in the program, and I'm really grateful that I was able to go through it. What's next for me is that I will be starting my internship at the Huntsman Mental Health Institute in Salt Lake City. And this is a picture of it on the right. I really gravitated towards getting a music therapy degree because I have always loved music. I just thought I could never do anything with it until I found music therapy. I just really gravitated towards helping people through music. And so that's kind of how I got on the train of music therapy. And I still remember my first time ever watching a music therapy session. I just felt like this amazing feeling of this is what I can do with people. I can help them and make them feel happy or make them feel like they belong through music. And something I love about music therapy is that you don't have to use any words to express your feelings or connect with people. That's what the music is for. I am interested in music therapy because there is a giant need for mental health advocacy and reducing stigma around mental health. That's kind of the route that I'm choosing to take right now, and hence why I decided to go for the internship at the Huntsman Mental Health Institute. Just for all of you out there that have not gotten internships or looking in the next year or so, it's a daunting process, but you can do it. Your supervisors, they are not expecting you to be perfect. I was really scared about that, but they know you don't know everything. When you're looking for an internship, I just suggest looking at your own needs financially, maybe where you need to be living, what kind of populations you're interested in. Look at the connections that you have. Make sure that you are connecting with the people in your cohort. They will really help you out. So that's kind of how I got mine. This is just some pictures that kind of represent my feelings towards music therapy. The biggest reason that I love working with clients is because I get to see them grow and I get to see them shine. And that's something that you just can't replace and you can't really get anywhere else. This is like one of my mandalas, and just like a mandala, there's no wrong answers in music therapy. You can express yourself however you want. I just love it. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
All right, well, I'm just going to share a little bit of my own history. I always knew I wanted to do two things in life: to help people and to have my life centered around music. And that's actually why I started going to college, pursuing music education when I was in high school. The experiences that I had throughout my life involved being in music, impacted my life hugely by providing many amazing, poignant experiences. I also spent some time doing service with a retired music therapist while I was a missionary, and that's like changed in an instant. I felt like I could benefit more people by being a music therapist than being a music teacher. So I switched degrees and I transferred schools. I went from being a music ed to being a Bachelor of Arts to transferring from SUU down in Cedar City up to Utah State and going into the music therapy program after getting accepted. I actually decided to apply for the music therapy program just a few weeks before pre-auditions were due, which was quite the decision. Music has been really a main center pillar of my life and a part of me since I can remember. And having these experiences influence me to shoot for music therapy. And this is just really quick. Music is powerful. Music is motivating. It creates shared experiences, and you can just go on and on and on about what music is to you. Music within a therapeutic relationship combined with music therapy interventions can address a variety of non-musical goals across many populations. These example goal areas are what I get to do as a music therapist. I get to provide so many opportunities for people through experiences in music within that therapeutic relationship. I currently work in hospice generally right now. That's the majority of my client list right now. I am also starting to do 11-hour visits, which is helping people transition from life to death. But I also work with adults with disabilities as well. I love it. I love what I do, and being a music therapist is a dream come true. After learning about it, I knew to do, and I knew that's how I wanted to do it. We use this term to describe how people are expressing their emotions. So a low affect, you can kind of tell what it means. So in psychology, affect refers to the emotional experience or feeling that a given person has at any time, right? It encompasses all emotions, and especially the overall mood or emotional state. Because I work in memory care as well, I see a lot of people who are surviving, and music just breathes a fresh breath of life into them, and it's really a beautiful experience. And I also work with some people that have some rough emotions that come up, especially in the hospice side of things. But we're always evolving as music therapists. People are changing, and so are we. And so we also have something that's really important, is what we do to keep up to date. So because we're always learning and getting more research in psychology, we apply that knowledge from psychology and all of this other research into music therapy practice as well. Those certifications can help you target and specialize to your clients and your populations. But yeah, that's a little bit of my experience. Trends are kind of a hard thing in music therapy because all of us are in different populations. And so the trends are going to differ with who you work with and where you're working. And also just in general, like state laws and how music therapy functions within a government, because funding looks different with different people in different states, right? So Utah is a state where most music therapists work either like at a hospital or they work in a private practice company. I work as an independent contractor for a couple different private practice owners, and that's a trend that I see in Utah. But I can't say that for Texas or California or New York because I don't know what their state laws are like. And that's something that we're working on changing. So let's hope we can get some laws passed and get music therapy state funding and on Medicaid and have insurance pay for it, which is a goal of ours. Trends that I see in my field, I am actually doing a conference right now for AMTA, which is the American Music Therapy Association, just had a virtual conference, and I am attending, and we're seeing research about the experiences of elderly adults with pain and those different things. And that's how those trends and that new research that we're seeing from music therapists is going to now further impact future work in other music therapists.
I think there are two really big challenges that are very real for music therapy students. The first one is anxiety over finances. It's a very real, you just finished 4 or more years of college, and now you have to go 6 months with most likely no pay at all or very little pay, and that's very it made me very scared and very anxious. And then the second one is just like the imposter syndrome, like you're not feeling like you're not good enough, just know that your professors are preparing you really well, and just be yourself. Like, you don't have to be anybody else. Who else would you be anyway? You know, I can't really give tips on the financial situation because everyone really is different. If you need to work for a couple years before you can save up for the internship, do it. Just figure out what works for you. I know I felt so much pressure to just start right in May, but no, you can wait, do what's good for you and for like your situation. So everyone's different.
I'm gonna tag on to that. After those major challenges of getting your internship, figuring out how you're going to live, and you get to study for the board certification exam. It seems really daunting, and my best advice is to study. Join a group, something like that, because you're doing all of this information from the past, however many years it's been of schooling afterwards. And then once you pass that exam, one of the challenges that we see specifically in Utah is the business side of things is not something that is talked about during school very often, because it doesn't seem applicable, because it's more important for you to learn how to do music therapy than it is to run a business until after you're done with school. And so I would definitely recommend, like, do some supervision or talk to some private or small business owners that do music therapy after you graduate, or when you're getting towards your senior year, when you start thinking about, okay, I need to put this into practice. How am I going to do that? How am I going to implement that? And the business side of things is something that because I'm an independent contractor, I don't have a lot to do with the business side of things. I wasn't in a place that I could start my own business and get contracts with companies and facilities and things like that. So I'm in a lucky position that I don't have much to do with that, but I'm starting to take on administrative responsibilities now that I am a year into practicing as a music therapist. So I know that sounds like that's a long-term big challenge after school that you can think about. We have had in practicum or practicum seminar on Fridays that we have had small business owners come in and talk about, okay, here's the legal side of things, but as a student, it's so overwhelming, and I personally think that it should be just like a tack-on course at the end, just a little couple weeks of information right at the end of your senior year so you can think about it. So those are some of the big challenges that, from my perspective, after you do the exam, that I see. You do your internship, and after you do your internship is when Utah State officially recognizes that you have finished the degree, and after you finish your internship is when you get your degree. So even though I technically graduated in 2021, I didn't get my degree until 2022 after I had finished my internship. It's just the way that Utah State has it set up. It's a little bit confusing. And after you finish your internship is when you get written permission from Dr. Hearns and all of the other staff for the music therapy program at Utah State, recommendation to take the music therapy board exam. So most of my clients come from referrals from the companies that my company that I'm working for contracts with. So, for example, the people that are working in that hospice company find somebody that they think will benefit from music therapy services, and then that comes and trickles down, and then my supervisor or business owner of the small private practice businesses kind of trickles down and decides which therapist or contractor, like where I'm at, will take on who, and which is great. You're always marketing and you're always advocating and educating about music therapy, because there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception about what music therapy is. So I have business cards. In my normal conversations will come up and I say, this is what I do, this is what I address. I often will give a little bit of a splurge, just a little snippet of, I work on non-musical goals. These are some of the goals that I tend to target in the populations that I work with. And that kind of opens people's eyes and they go, oh, you're actually there not just to sing at them. And I'm like, no, we're working on things. And that I've also found get my own clients. So you don't actually have to have a doctor's referral to do music therapy. The only places or contracts that I have, people that I work with, that probably have either a doctor's note or recommendation from, other healthcare professionals are my hospice patients. So most of my groups I have either marketed for myself or have been referred to by someone else as well. You don't need a doctor's note to be benefit from music therapy. So
guitar is what I use the most because it's so mobile. You can go room to room with it. You can walk around with it. The clients can play it with you, like they can strum it. It's just really a very helpful, useful instrument.
Guitar is accessible, and that's why we use it. We can play the guitar in really awkward positions to help our clients play it. I did my internship at a school for severe to profound persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Taylorsville, and many of the clients I worked with had cerebral palsy. They are not able to use their fingers or anything, so you learned how to play the guitar with the strings like this at your face and to play on your knees, and it's just very helpful. I rarely use the piano anymore, and I'm really grateful I took the guitar class because that's where I really developed and honed my skills in the guitar.
Percussion instruments, for me, they're so valuable in a group setting because you don't have to have played any instrument to be able to play a percussion instrument. And so being able to express yourself on something that you've never played is really empowering in a group like setting, especially my last practicum with the high school SPED classroom was really cool because the students were able to listen to each other, express themselves through the cabasa or whatever it was, and then we all could join in supporting them with our instruments too. It takes away some of that, I'm the music therapist, I'm the teacher, and you guys are learning. It's more like we're all together. There's nobody that's doing like the best instrument. We're all just equal playing together. So that's why I love using percussion instruments.
I have not yet implemented a lot of it in hospice yet, because we have to think about accessibility a lot with a wide variety of populations. The drum heads might be too hard on someone who's in hospice on their hands, and so we have to find something that will adapt to a percussion instrument or another type of instruments that they can use.
How do you say this? My personal belief is that no one should be forced to do something they don't want to do. And one thing about music therapy is that it's there to empower people, it's there to help people, and if they are not enjoying it and they do not want to join in, then that is a decision that they are able to make for themselves. But a lot of the people we work with, they're told what to do every second of the day. They don't get to choose anything. And that can be very frustrating to not have any autonomy. And so to be able to say, hey, would you like to join in? And they be able to say, no, not right now. That's okay. Let me know if you want to come in, or here's an instrument if you feel like you want to come in with us or something like that. So I think just being able to give the choice and respect that choice is really important. Also, sometimes if you ask them, well, what do you want to do? Or what is a song that you enjoy? Then they will be more likely to also participate, because they're like, oh, well, last week I mentioned I like this song and they chose to use it in the session this week. So
I very much believe in autonomy is important and agency to choose. That's music therapy doesn't have to be in you sit down in a group or whatever. You can do it wherever they're at, right? We use this thing called the ISO principle, which is meeting someone where they're at. And if that means not having music, then that's what you do. I have a hospice client who is the archetype of a grumpy old man, and he told me, no, I don't want music. It's not going to help me at all. And I said, I'm here to spend some time with you. Let's just chat. What do you want to chat about? And that's still music therapy in the fact that you can practice therapeutic listening or empathetic listening and therapeutic conversation. You know, we're still licensed therapists even without the music. And you just slowly can add things in as you feel necessary, but it's most important that you're meeting your clients' or your patients' needs. And if that means not having music, then that's what you do. They're still in a therapeutic space. Your job as a music therapist is to provide a safe space for anybody who is either participating or passively participating to engage, right? And if that means somebody is just there listening, they're still benefiting in some way. Maybe they just needed a little bit of a pick-me-up and they just wanted to hear some songs that they haven't heard in a while. I am in this process of, in this hospice patient that I have, I still have not done any music with him yet. I go and I call him and I say, hey, you know, I'm here to spend some time with you. But using music is such a better way to further the therapy, right? So you can use that music and hopefully soon you can just, you know, pull the guitar out and be like the background track to whatever you're talking about, right? Sometimes that just holds the space to, you know, just playing the guitar, whatever, you're just noodling around really softly in the background while you're talking.
I would say if you're just like starting out in the program or maybe in the middle somewhere, figure out a good elevator pitch for you. Like when people say, oh, music therapy, I've never heard of that. You're going to have that happen to you all the time. So you have to be like, oh, music therapy is, you know, and then have your little like your little elevator pitch that you can tell people that music therapy uses music to accomplish non-musical goals. That is kind of one thing that I say. And they'll often either say, oh, that's cool, or they'll ask you more. You can say, well, people with dementia, they might not remember some really important details of their lives, but they can sing every word to their favorite song. Like, isn't that crazy? And so just finding your elevator pitch is like a good start. And then once you get further on and you're beginning to transition to being a professional and having your like marketing pitches and your business cards and stuff, that comes later.
I love what Em said about finding that elevator pitch. And the one that I use the most is like, we use music to accomplish non-musical goals, because that's what music therapy, like the foundation of what music therapy is, right? That experience is the exact same as a professional. Everywhere you go and you say, yeah, I'm a music, you know, people ask you what you do for a living because they like to small talk. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a music therapist. And they go, you what? Yeah, I'm a music therapist. Music therapy is an evidence-based practice and we work on non-musical goals. So in my case, I work a lot with hospice patients. I'm there to provide positive social interaction, comfort, relaxation, pain management, all of the things that I get to provide as a music therapist. Knowing what music therapy is and how it can benefit people in all sorts of different populations. And this will get easier to do as you experience and observe and do music therapy. For example, Em probably has more experience than I do in special ed. I mean, I did an internship, but I really was specialized with severe to profound students. So I did not have as much experience with those in the mid to high range.
Use your professors as resources, your cohort, the people that you go to class with every day. They are also struggling to find interventions or like things like that, and you can help each other out. If you're worried about like the competencies or the exam or something like that, you can just go on the like CBMT website, and you can find like a lot of helpful information about that. I'm not quite to that step yet, but there's also practice tests you can take online if you're stressed about that. There are a lot of resources to help you. Go on like Instagram, follow music therapists on social media. I know that Heather Overly, she's local, and she posts a ton of stuff on her Instagram, just small interventions and videos and things. So that's just to name one, but there's so many people out there that you can follow on social media too.
The social media platform is really accessible, and that's something that you probably spend time on already. So I definitely recommend following music therapists. But like Em said, your cohort is going to be so helpful. To this day, I still talk almost on a daily basis to the people that I graduated with, at least some of them, you know. Those are really helpful. And I would also recommend going and observing. I know you have to do it for a part of assignment, and it is so hard to make time when you're a college student to go and observe, but being able to see different music therapists in action in different populations was really helpful, especially as a starting professional. Like, I had never done hospice before, and so they hired me on and said, yeah, you're going to do hospice. And I was like, okay, I've never done hospice. And so I went and observed, and I went with another music therapist to see how they work. And I will continue doing that with different music therapists to see how they approach the same thing differently. So lots of resources, tons of resources. I actually took a class, a study group class, to help me prepare for the exam because I don't self-study very well. That's just kind of how I am. And that was a really great resource to just have like dedicated time. And you can structure this yourself if you've got friends or people that you know that are in a similar place about to take the exam. Like, hey, we're going to do a study group on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for half an hour for 3 weeks, you know, scheduling something like that to help you prepare for the exam. But your cohort and your people that you work with, people that you know that are music therapists, are going to be your biggest resources in practice. Information, I would definitely use the music therapy professional documents, the board domains, you know, standards of practice, things like that are going to be helpful as well. I am fairly new to the population that I am working with, so I use research as a way to inform my approach. So the greater or the more I understand about the people that I'm working with by reading the research done by music therapists or psychologists about end-of-life care, the better I am going to be able to address those clients' needs, right? So I'm constantly using books and, you know, articles and things like that I have access to inform my practice. You do a case study during your internship that is like what a research, like your own research would do. Most people that are doing research are probably master's level. I am not in that position to be able to, well, what if, you know, I'm not in that position, right? You get the practice to be able to have the skills. It's more important for me to be informed to help my clients right now than it is for me to practice the theory of music therapy, you know?
Yeah, and just to add to that too is there's an undergrad course that music therapy students take that's about research in music therapy, and it's really fascinating. So if there is something that you run into, like you're working with a new population, so you try to research about it, or you have a certain question about this population and you can't find anything on it, maybe that means if you're really passionate about it, you can go on and do research about it and like go get your master's degree and do this research kind of thing. So it just depends on how passionate you are about it, or kind of resources too, because research isn't free. So yeah, you gotta also take that into account too.